What's going on, Flipping Cricket fans? It's Sam once again. Got a tip and trick for you all today on how to save some line on the back end. Well, what we have today is a tip on how to save some line. And what I mean by that is a little thing I do to save line and make a 150 or 200 yard spool stretch out between 3 and 4 rods is a simple trick that I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years. I don't really hear many people talking about it. Many people may, I don't know. But I know this is what I do and it works for me, so I decided to share it with you all. So what we do is, I have my line here. It got unraveled just a second ago. But I have some regular cheap monofilament or something you had laying around that you don't use more, any line that you don't like. There's no specific brand to this. All we're going to do is add a backing. And the backing is something, it's common, but I don't never really hear many people talk about it. So what we're going to do is show you how we do it. We're going to show you how we put a backing on and show you how we do it and how much line to put on your reel as backing. One tip, one trick that we like to that I like to do, I try not to use backing that's much heavier than 12-pound test. Today we have 14-pound test, but the thicker the diameter, the harder it is to govern how much line you put on there. The thinner diameter, you have a more of a chance to room for error, I guess you say. You have more room for error. So with this 14, since I've been doing it a little while, I know pretty much what I'm looking for and how much line I'm gonna get. With this, I have the reel on the rod. This is a Largemouth 1. I bought it offline, and I don't know if you can tell at the moment, but in here there's like a little bevel on the inside of the reel. So what I do is about the first 50 to 60 yards of line ends up being where, I'm gonna take my knife and demonstrate, so because my fingers are so big, but there's like a little crescent there where it rises up and begins to get flat. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna tie my knot and reel it up till it's right above the crescent there. And once I do that, that'll give me about 75 yards from there to the top. I think this thing is registered for like 110 yards at 12-pound test. So we'll take and get it up to there. The average cast is way less than 100 yards, way less than 75 yards. And if you feel like, you can govern up and down if you feel like, you cast way further than everyone else. But for me, I just use a general rule of thumb as this little line here. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm gonna try to get it here. There's a line here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill it up to right above the line there with monofilament. Reason why I use monofilament is because if you use braid as a backing, this is Suffix 832, if you use braid as a backing, what will happen is braid doesn't grip to the steel as monofilament will. It will begin to slide. I remember when I first started fishing, we used to go down to New Orleans and fish off the bank, a place called Lake Pontchartrain, to catch trout. And everybody was using braid because of the thin diameter. You can cast out so far with an 1.5 ounce, 2 ounce sinker. But what would happen is the braid would start slipping off. And so, your spool, the line on your spool would get real loose. So we started using monofilament to the braid, and then fill up the spool, the rest with braid, so the line wouldn't spool within itself. It wouldn't slip within itself. So, all right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna line up the rod. We're gonna line up the rod. So when you're spooling up your reel, make sure your initial reel guide is center ways. So when you tie it up, you'll be good to go. Boom, got it. Just a simple couple overhand knots. Boom. Got that. So then we're going to commence to tightening it up just a little bit. Boom. So we're going to show you here how we do that. All right. So now, as you can see, I have pretty much a little less than half of the spool covered. From here, I'm gonna cut it up kind of far up so that I have enough room to tie. And on this one, I'm gonna just tie on some braid. Excuse me. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna tie on some braid here. Run the braid through the line guides. Step 40. So this is the knot that I use. It's something very simple. The knot that I use is this knot here. It just goes like a overhand loop knot with both lines and swoop it twice. 1, 2. Then I'll pull it here. And then what I'll do is I'll pull it tight here and it's gonna roll over. Boom, like that. Once it roll over, it's locked in. And once it lock in, even if the fish, say you was out on the Gulf Coast or something, you was catching redfish or something like that, you may have to loosen up the drag a little bit, but you'll still be able to get him in if you had to get to your backin. Okay, so now we're going to commence to filling up the spool. There we go. I'm going to fill up the spool here. And this could be very well done with braid, fluorocarbon, same technique, and just fill it up. Now, one thing I will tell you, to maximize your gear ratio of every reel you use, fill it up to the full, there's a silver rim here. The lip where in this reel, and every reel is different, is green on the inside, but then there's a little silver part there. Fill it up to the edge of the silver, because what happened, that spool begins to bevel, and what happens is it gives the max capacity for the reel to draw line, and that's when you really get the full max potential of your gear ratio. If you have a 7:1 and you feel like it ain't really as fast as you think it is, fill your spool up a little bit more. You'll see the difference in the potential draw of your reel. Now, me personally, like, I like it full even when I'm flipping, because it gives me a better opportunity to get more flips and pitches. And two, if you break off, you don't have to worry about having to re-spool a lot. But now, this is a full reel. This is a full reel. And with this reel being full, I have maximized my gear ratio. I've maximized my line capacity, and I've only got about 75 to 80 yards out of this spool of line. So with that being said, I'm able to utilize my spool of line instead of coming in and filling that whole spool up with braid. Now I don't have to. I can take that same spool and put on 3 or 4 different rods. So and that maximizes the potential of each spool, because braid is not cheap. And so, that's something that you want to be able to utilize to the max potential. Now, personally, I use my braid until it turns almost completely white. Braid, it may lose its color, but it does not lose its strength as easy. I do like nothing brand specific. I just like a nice smooth braid. So there's a few out there that I particularly choose to stay away from. I won't, use any names or drop any names. But definitely, hey, one thing I'll ask you, watching this video, like, subscribe, comment, please comment below, and tell your friends about us. Stick around. Some changes is coming. Water is getting ready to start warming up. Fish are getting ready to start moving. We're getting ready to start snatching them. Hey, we thank you. We appreciate you. Be safe. Have a blessed day. And remember, always remember, boys and girls, If you flip your cricket, you're bound to get a bite.